Bam, we're live. Do you know how hard it was, Brian, to sit here and not say one thing, make one elephant boy comment the entire time? I've been back here for 3 minutes talking to John. What the fuck happened to you? Did you get stung by a bee?
No, I didn't get stung by a bee.
A barbell fell on you. A plate, something overhead?
Me and Brian had a disagreement, and yeah, he's much tougher than he looks.
Brian only hits kids. What?
So I woke up yesterday morning and started scratching my neck really hard. Woke up real fast. I told my wife something was wrong, and she was like, "It was probably just a mosquito." I was like, "It's not. No, this is not what a mosquito feels like." And then I went to the bathroom, saw my face was a little bit messed up, and went back to my bed
a little bit
to look at, and nothing was in my bed. And then I lifted up my pillow, and there was a whole bunch of fire ants underneath my pillow.
Oh shit!
And I was just getting ate up by fire ants. By the back of my neck got really.
But John is such a good dude. You know what he said? Thank God it was my side and not yours, honey.
Yeah, that's exactly what I said. She didn't get bit once. I don't know how that happens, but
what state is that?
Texas.
I don't even think we have those in California. Well, maybe up in Northern California or closer to the border. Not where I'm at.
It was quite traumatizing. I will say.
So one bit you on your eyelid.
Yeah, this is what I looked like in the morning. Yesterday morning.
That doesn't even look like you. Don't let anyone. Who took that picture? Fire them.
It was
Excuse me.
That's his photographer, his personal photographer. He asked him to be the first thing in the morning when he wakes up, just in case.
Yeah.
My goodness. This morning I woke up to fuckhead Chase Ingram sending me this picture. He said, "This is what Bill Grunler looks like, and this is what I look like." I'll let you figure out which one I am.
I love Nick Nolte. One of my favorite roles he ever played in is a movie called Peaceful Warrior.
Just Warrior. He's great.
Also Warrior. Yes, he's very great in that. You're right.
I must have like body dysmorphia or something. I just look at myself and I look just like a little older version of a 17-year-old me. I'm not even that, like, really? Do I look that old? Look at it, my neck's still tight and shit. What the fuck are you guys looking at? My hair is still thick. I'm still like, what are you guys looking at? Look at John.
Great, you look great.
Thank you. The swelling, you just want me to stop talking about myself. The swelling comes from being scared. The swelling comes from being scared of Brian.
Must be what it is.
He saw
my swelling comes from my attraction to Brian. I'll tell you that. Thank you, Magnus. Wow, Magnus, and you don't even say nice shit. That's awesome. Wow.
I had a guy convinced at my gym, totally convinced that I had taken up UFC. I told him this is my first fight for UFC, and he's a little bit naive. There's a girl at my gym who's a black belt in jiu-jitsu, and I told him I've been working with her, and then I had a fight over the weekend, and I made like $3,000. And he started telling people this, and I was like, "I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding." I
am not fighting.
Convinced.
Oh, I got some bad Badussi. That Kate. That could be Kate Hua. That could. Oh, John Young's. I got some bad Badussi. Maybe.
I don't know what that means.
You don't want to know. You're a good dude. Let's keep the show clean.
It doesn't sound good.
Before we start, I would like to know some thoughts on 3 people. If you guys may. You guys okay with that before we go into the rogue predictions?
Is it Nick Nolte?
No.
We're not. We're past that. Okay.
No. What's the deal with Haley Adams? Has she made any announcements yet? Is she still?
I just talked to her yesterday.
Oh, tell me what's going on.
We just talked about Post Malone though.
Oh. In your DMs, or you were texting, or you called her?
Yeah. I had an opportunity to go to see Post Malone thanks to Patrick Clark a couple of weeks ago. She was, I think, went a couple of nights ago. So I just sent her a message about that, and it was pretty good. I would encourage people to go if they can find a way.
And did you ask, is she still training at Mayhem?
I think she is still training at Mayhem. I don't know what programming she's doing, and I did not ask her.
John, any thoughts on Haley?
No,
Okay.
I have not.
I thought about
Haley.
asking her because I knew you would ask me, but I decided that I would ask her another time.
Okay, I'm gonna send Souza. Let's get Haley Adams on. Okay. And Gabriella Migala.
I knew you were going to ask about these people, so I did do some research. The things that I had thought were happening with Gabby in the off season are not happening with Gabby in the off season, but I don't know what is happening with her.
Is she still on that island off the coast of Spain?
No, I think that her and Christoph have been up in Iceland. They were doing some training with a strongman yesterday. All the athletes are trying to learn how to do that clean and press with the log. It's actually amazing how accessible it seems to be. Seemingly everyone's able to find one.
Is or is not?
Is. I mean, not everyone, but I've seen, at least half a dozen, maybe upwards of 10 athletes on Instagram who are posting that they're working on this, log thing after Rogue put up the video of Christy doing it. Christy Aramo, by the way, also had a really impressive endurance feat the other day in some kind of, I'm not sure
marathon.
What it was.
Was it a
marathon?
Pace.
It was a marathon?
Yeah. 7:03 pace for a full marathon.
Very,
7-minute pace is sub 3 hours. And that's what she.
So she runs good.
Yeah. Still, we knew she's a good runner, but it's very impressive. Yeah. So I had thought that Gabby was going to make a change this offseason. Now it sounds like she's still indecisive. So holding pattern for both of those athletes still.
Meaning she could still be with John Singleton.
Mm-mm.
No,
I don't think so. And I don't think so for that. But what I had thought she was going to do, it sounds like she's reconsidered or seeking other opportunities.
Oh, okay. So
which makes me feel good about not, succumbing to your pressure every time and talking about it out of turn.
Well, I'm sure it was to go to Ben Smith. I'm sure. It was to go to Ben Smith. You didn't need to say. I just know. Everyone wants to live in West Virginia.
He's in just regular old Virginia.
Oh, thank you. Think of all the misinformation that would come out of this show if it wasn't for you, Brian. Is this guy showing up to the Rogue Invitational?
Oh, yeah.
He is.
Actually, I put out my rankings last night, and someone messaged me, and it caught me totally off guard. I mean, surely I expect people to have, opinions based on what we put, but someone said they wanted to make me a bet that Jeff Adler would beat Roman Krennikov at the Rogue Invitational this year.
God, he moves. Adler moves really good, huh?
Adler's got to be amongst the, he reminds me of Ben Smith and Scott Panchik. He's just like such a good mover, very little wasted movement, extremely efficient. And that's why those guys have been so successful. They've built up those movement patterns that are so effective over time, and they're able to do it at a fast pace.
I was going to say Hobart.
He's a little different than Hobart.
Great mover as well, of course.
But I think that's how Hobart does double unders.
Hobart doesn't have, he doesn't have multiple top 5 finishes at the games like those other 3 guys.
Correct.
In the individual division.
But he's probably accidentally drank out of the same shaker as Rich Froning more times than any other human being.
Accidentally?
Oh, right. You're right. You're right. You're right. I should just report the facts and not put my opinion. You're right. Has.
But the only
Okay.
thing in the shaker bottles that Rich drinks is whole milk, I think.
Whole milk. Oh, how the fuck does Mayhem not have? Does Mayhem have a supplement?
I don't know. I don't think so. Maybe it's just
there needs to be
meat.
There needs to be a Froning creatine.
Advocare.
Do they sell creatine?
Hey, whatever happened to Progenics? Remember that was like the most dominant supplement for 2000.
I know it was because of Strongman. They sponsored Strongman. Progenics did, and then they stopped sponsoring them. They just went away.
Progenics.
Sevan, do you know we're
the owner got in a really bad accident? Say that again.
Do you know we're covering both the men and the women today?
I didn't. Are you telling me that we need to get on it?
Who is the third person on your hit list?
Oh, Guy Malheiros.
You know anything, John?
He's not doing Rogue.
He's not doing Rogue.
Yeah, that's what we know.
But do we know why?
Because
barbell spin is saying visa issues, but
he would place too high in Rogue, and everybody would have unreal expectations for the games.
No.
That's why.
In the comments there, barbell spin says it has to do with visa issues. He has been that guy has been pretty in tune with athletes and trying to find that stuff out. He was the one who reported Ellie Turner having a visa issues and he also reported that those were resolved. So I would take his word for that at this point.
I'm guessing he went back to Brazil after the games.
Dude, listen to Brian. Is not Brian. How are you? Like, yeah, I guess they say it's visa issues. You gotta believe him. I guess. I mean, you don't sound like you believe it, but you want us to believe it.
It's. I don't know. I mean, it's weird. It's weird that he wouldn't. Like, he hasn't said anything about it, but he's been pretty quiet in general.
Wow, look at this. Here we go. In speaking with Malheiros, maybe you're going to have to replace John or Brian on the show, Mr. Spin. And speaking with Malheiros, he told the barbell spin, God, you're such a, look at him talking about himself in the third person. I love it. He currently is unable to travel to the United States of America, the bastion of freedom and rock and roll, as he works through his visa process.
From what I know about visa issues in general in CrossFit, if you're a legitimate professional athlete in the sport, you can resolve the visa issues. We've seen it with Sam Briggs, even up to the last minute at the games. We've seen it with Ellie Turner just in this past couple months or weeks or so. And same with, Guy. I feel like if that was an issue, it's a resolvable issue most likely if you wanted to pursue it. But who knows? Maybe it's a roadblock and he's got other things that he wants to do, or he's not feeling 100%, and so he doesn't want to pursue that aggressively right now. I think if he wanted to get there, he could find a way to get there.
Is 200,000? No, let's see, $200,000 a lot in Brazil? Is $100 a lot of money in Rio? Depending on I mean, it's a lot.
200,000. It'd be like 2 million pesos.
Hey, I will say this. I did ask Matt Fraser. I said, hey, I just can't believe that Mal wouldn't just, since Tia's not there, just go get the money.
What did you say?
You asked him that?
Yeah. And he said, and I paraphrase, you'd be surprised how much money some of the athletes are making.
Yep, some small few, wow. Yes.
I think the drop off is quite huge once you get past the top 5.
Yeah, I mean, as it should be. The rest of the people, fuck them. Yes, I said it.
So, men or women first?
Oh, yeah. Yes. Show. Sorry, I thought we were done. Let's do the women.
Okay.
Let's do the women. Let's do the women. Where's Caleb today? Caleb should be doing this, keeping the show on track.
Oh, don't post this one. You the one where we're side
Go to your own, to the Real Sevan Podcast Instagram.
Why? What's wrong with this one?
It's less informative than the next one we're gonna see.
You saved the good one for the. Oh wow! Oh wow!
The blue one on the right.
Wow. Oh, did you know I had the CEO on?
Who are you asking?
Either of you. You, Brian.
Did you know I was on that episode after he got off?
No shit.
We talked about it.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay.
Yeah, it's cool.
Okay. Oh my goodness! Look right at the top.
Is this the first time you're seeing these?
Yeah. Is that Ariel Loewen commenting to John Young?
It is.
Wow.
Made my day. I thought she was going to follow me, but she didn't. So.
Okay, let me just tell you some of the type hitters that are commenting on this predictions. Ariel Loewen, Chase Ingram, Patrick Clark, Susie Tell. She has the largest collection of CEO shirts in the world. The barbell spin. It's good. This is a good posse. Great crew. I'm going to flip through these cards real quick. Oh, this is good. Wow. Okay. Can we start at the bottom?
Yeah, let's start at the bottom.
Okay. I don't even know who. Do I know who these bottom? I know the name is Matilda Garnes. I know Annika Greer. I don't recognize these 6 in the 18th through 20th spot. I don't recognize their names. Anything you can say to me where like, oh, that this person did this at the games, this person did this at a semifinal. Do any of these ladies have any like notable accomplishments so far?
You probably would not know too much about Bailey Rogers or Andrea Solberg. But I put an article out yesterday for the women. I think the men's will go out today that has, 2 to 5 sentences about each athlete, along with a little bit of biographical information. So if you're someone who doesn't know who those athletes are, that was the idea, where you could just key in on a little bit of what they've done and maybe 1 or 2 things that they might excel
Where
at.
is that? Where is that posted at Barbell Bend?
Barbell Bend. Did I say it wrong? Bar Bend?
No, you may have.
I might have said it wrong.
You may have said it right too.
It's on
Bailey
Barbell.
Rogers is from Oceana. She did the semifinal there. She got 6th, I believe.
She was 6th this year, 7th the year before. And she had a pretty cool stat actually this year. She was placed between 5th and 9th in all of the workouts. So she didn't really exhibit any excellence, but keep in mind who's competing in that competition. You had Tia, Cara, Jamie, Maddie Sturt, and Ellie Turner, 5 athletes who we believe all have top 20 games potential if they were all able to compete there. And she's placing 5th through 9th. So she's regularly either in that mix if she's taking 5th or just behind, and she's not showing any weakness relative to the rest of the field.
She's consistently almost made it to the games in arguably the hardest women's field to make it to the games.
Though the thing she doesn't have going for her is her age. She's over 30 already, and she still hasn't had this breakthrough.
By the way, I want you to know I just let Barbend send me notifications to my computer. Normally I would have clicked no way. I just went to their website. Fuck off. But since you work there, Brian, I collected, of course.
What a good guy.
Touch me inappropriately. J.R. Howell, it's almost like they need more spots.
They needed more spots, but we'll see.
You agree with J.R. The field is deep. There's people who need to be there who didn't go. Is that what you're saying?
I'm going to be somewhat arrogant here maybe and say anyone who's thinking that is agreeing with me. I've been saying and writing about this for 2 years at least in public platforms, but that might change. And this is the thing that like people have to recognize, because a lot of people have been messaging following CrossFit's announcement about the season. Thank you, Tyler. And, if Tia doesn't compete or doesn't compete in Oceana, and if Cara retires, which some people are speculating could happen, we haven't heard anything from her, so we don't know. And if Jamie also petitions to compete in Europe instead of Australia, where she's been living for a while, and suddenly and Ellie Turner, who's living in the United States, but it doesn't compete there. If those 4 women aren't there, they do not need more than 3 spots at all.
Did you say Tia as well? Tia petitions for US? Yeah, all of their people don't live there except Cara.
Now, if they're all forced to compete there, then and they all are still competing, then yes, definitely the same things I've been saying for the last 3 years is that look at their finishes at the games. I mean, between the ones who made it this year were Tia, Cara, and Ellie, all finished inside the top 20 handily, did very well, and they're all in this field. And well, Tia's not in this field, but she would be if she wanted to be. And we have these other women that are competing over there that are very good. And in the cases when they have had the chance to make the games of Jamie Simmons and Maddie Sturts, they've also done well. But never have they been rewarded as a continent or a region or a semifinal, whatever you want to call it, for those high-placing finishes at the games. Instead, they've been penalized. They used to have 5 spots, and now it's been reduced to 3. And their athletes are still regularly finishing in the top third at the games.
Ryan, do you know how hard or how strict they will be on that rule? Do you think they'll be lenient or strict about it?
I mean, it's one of the biggest, I wouldn't say.
I'm glad the rule is there.
What rule?
If you live.
So basically, they have and Jason CF Media did a video about this that outlines it pretty well. Several others, including Barbell Spin, put out a tweet kind of drawing attention to the inconsistency with the rule there, or at least the perceived inconsistency. It says that you have to compete where you're a citizen, but they also have come out and clarified that there is a petition process that will be made available to athletes and that they can submit a request to compete elsewhere before the season begins. And all those requests will be considered and responded to and known before the season starts, before the Open starts.
And Roman will be allowed to compete wherever the fuck he wants. I promise.
They specifically reference Roman when talking about this.
They're not going to send anyone back to a country that's at fucking war. You don't, even if you're from the Ukraine or Russia, you can compete in your mom's backyard in the United States. It's fine.
Well, we don't. The problem is we don't know what the criteria is, and we don't have any real guarantee that it will be applied consistently, because we don't know what it is.
By the way, I don't think you should unsubscribe to the Morning Chalk Up because Andrew Weinstein is still submitting some amazing fiction over there, and you should go over there and read it. Amazing fiction, classics, instant classics. Go back to the question at hand. Do you think that there should be more people? I mean, you got to cut it off somewhere.
Well, it depends. It depends on the rule. Yeah. It depends how that is implemented.
I mean at Rogue. Are you saying there should be more than 20 people at Rogue?
Oh, no.
Oh, okay. Then I misunderstood.
But I talking about spots for the games.
I think a better question about the field at Rogue is, do you like the field better when it was the top 20 from the games, or do you like having 5 available spots through the qualifier? And we talked about this before, but if you look at the men's field alone, John, who are the 5 qualifiers that made it through the online qualifier?
Chandler Smith, Jorge Fernandez, Scott Tetlow, Tim Paulson, and there is one more, right?
What about those guys? Those are the ones who made it through the qualifier?
Jack Farlow. Did you say
Jack Farlow? Farlow.
So you got Farlow, Paulson, Tetlow, Chandler Smith, and Jorge Fernandez. If you'd invited spots 16 through 20 from the games, you would have Fikowski, Willie George, Travis Mayer, Dallin Pepper, and Spencer Panchik. You tell me which 5 guys are stronger competitors.
Okay, I hear you, and I'd like to see all those guys compete. But how about Kerstetter at number 11? We would have never gotten Olivia Kerstetter if we didn't have a.
Well, maybe. I mean, it depends.
And it's pretty cool that she's having her pro debut at Rogue. It's pretty cool. Sorry, Brian. Go ahead.
But the women's field ended up being a different situation because so many athletes declined. So yes, and if there were no spots available, you want to get the special invite of Annie Thorsdottir, for example. But of the 16 through 20 women's spots, they did extend an offer to Lucy Campbell. She was unable to make it. They invited Dani Speegle. She is coming. They invited Matilda Garnes through the qualifier because she was 6th, but she would have been 18th and got the invite anyway. So spots 16, 17, 18, 19 on the women's ended up getting an invite as well, just by the way that things shook out. So, and last year they invited the top 20 from the games. So that's the only reason why I bring it up. I think 20 is a great number for an invitational like this. And you can see the pros and cons of having the qualifier versus inviting those 16 through 20 from the games.
Would you be opposed to the top 18 and then there just be 2 spots for the qualifier? Because if you take the top 2, it would be Chandler and Jorge, correct?
Let's not swerve too far into the men.
Well, I mean, we're just talking about qualifying. Who would be the 2 women, Brian, in the qualifier?
It would have been Manon Agonis and Olivia Kerstetter.
There you go. You see what I'm saying? Like, if it's top 18, I feel like that's the best of both worlds. I agree with you. I think it's a better competition if it's the top 20 you invite from the games and you just keep going down the list. But, I mean,
I think you have to have a qualifier.
I like that there's an opportunity.
They didn't last year. But I don't think it's a problem. I'm just,
I like that there's an opportunity outside of what you place at the games to get there.
Sure. I mean, especially in the case of both Manon Agonis and Annika Greer, whose seasons ended for, even in the case of Chandler Smith or a guy like Jorge Fernandez, Annie Thorsdottir, all of their seasons they never led them to the opportunity to qualify through the games. 2 of them competed on teams. One of them had an unfortunate medical something at semifinals, and the other 2 screwed up the quarterfinal submission windows. And yet they were all able to have this opportunity. So that's the reason why the qualifier is nice.
So people who have just got here, I got attacked by fire ants. That's why my eye looks like this.
I wish that was a joke. It is not.
I slept in a pile of fire ants.
Yeah, he has pink eye after I sat on his face. I like that. It's disgusting. Why not invite Olivia? She is rogue branding as it gets. You are shooting yourself. No. But you have to have some criteria for inviting. Plus, Olivia's going.
Yeah.
I don't understand.
I don't think there's anything wrong with her proving that she's fit enough to be there. There's nothing wrong with that.
Okay, so when you look at number 15 through 20, you guys have the same people. You think that the same shitbirds, you guys agree on that, the bottom half.
I mean, the women's field is it's compared.
How is Manon Anganese getting here? I don't think she's vaccinated. How is she getting here?
That's outside of our area of expertise.
Okay, fair. And even 15. So Annika Greer, Anna Manganese, Carolyn Prevost, Andrea Solberg, Matilda Garns, Bailey Rogers. You guys all have 15 through 20. Where it starts to get weird is you have two really high-profile games athletes at number 14, and John Young has Dani Speegle at 13, going to basically what is the strongman version of the CrossFit Games. Has John lost his mind? John, did you see what she did to the sandbag?
I saw that, and she'll be really good in one event.
Wow. Do we know what the events are?
No.
Brian, tell him how bad he is putting Dani Speegle and Emma McQuaid, who both proved themselves to be strong as shit at the CrossFit Games.
I think, are you talking about Jacqueline Dahlstrom?
Who
the last two standing in the sandbag were Dani Speegle and Jacqueline Dahlstrom. Right.
Sorry. Yes. Thank you. Her. Yes. Thank you.
Well, you see that I have Jacqueline Dahlstrom only one spot different from John. Jacqueline was last place at Rogue Invitational last year, and she had a pretty poor overall performance. Her best event finish was 10th, and she had 3 18ths and a 17th out of 20. So it wasn't very good. But there's a huge amount of women that were competing at Rogue last year. Tia Toomey, Haley Adams, Kristen Holta, Carrie Pierce, Mel O'Brien. All of those were in the top 8. They're not in the field this year. Emma Carey, Chrissy Aramo, Katrin Davidsdottir, Emily Rolfe, Sam Briggs, all were in the bottom 10, but also not in the field this year. So the women's field overall is not as strong as it was last year at Rogue. And therefore, I think Jacqueline will move up quite a few spots relative to some of the athletes who made it through the online qualifier. Dani Speegle, interesting case, Dani Speegle, where she only competed in Rogue one other time. It was in 2019, which was the first version. It was the live version. And, you know, she's had her ups and downs since then. But she, in that competition specifically, had ups and downs. And it wasn't what John was saying, where she only had one good event finish. She had 3 top 5s, but she also had a 20th and a 16th. And then she had a couple in the middle. So she's got a little bit of everything. But a little bit of everything is better than not having those top 5 finishes. And I think that against this field, she will have the opportunity to have at least 2 top 5 finishes, which will keep her in contention for a top 10 spot.
And I don't disagree with that. I probably do have her a little bit low, but I know Guy is so good because he's athletic. It's not just the strength events. It's anything being athletic. Guy is going to be in the top 3 at least. I don't see this.
Guy? Who?
Yeah, Malheiros. Oh. But I'm saying that because he's the strongest guy. Dani Speegle is the strongest girl. I don't see her in the same athletic realm as far as getting 3 finishes as a top 3. She will have a couple events where she's great. She'll have one event where she wins easily, and then the rest of the events she's going to be bottom tier. And she is so reliable. Whatever the events are, they're going to affect her the most, because the events could stack up really good for her or they could stack up really bad for her. She's so event reliant on where she places in Rogue. And when the events come out, I can almost guarantee you where she's going to be on the list. Where, regardless if it's 13th or if it's 9th, when the events come out, you can basically tell where she's going to be just by what the events are. Would you disagree, Brian?
No, I mean, if you just look at her finishes from a much more relevant competition, which is this last year's CrossFit Games, obviously she had a first. She also had a 2nd, 7th, 8th, 5th. She's got this potential to be very good against the best women in the world in several events. But she also had a 29th, 29th, 30th, 33rd, 22nd. You know, so she's going to have just as many good as bad. But I would say that you want the athlete that's going to have just as many good as bad over the athlete that's just having everything 9 through 14.
Give me 1 second here. Let's go through these really quick. Brian, do you think that Sevan thought he was in a job interview yesterday?
Maybe. I mean, he put on his best or best or worst shirt. I'm not sure how to classify that.
Alex, person, real question: is John Young qualified for the Fittest experience, sitting 40th place right now? Is that an event? The Fittest person?
Yeah,
Fittest
I gotta be top 60 to make it to the show.
So it's looking good.
I don't know. We'll see. This is the last day to submit your scores, and then we have a whole another week of events. But I've redone a couple, and my score is much higher than it is on the scoreboard. So I just haven't submitted it yet. But I'm happy with week 1.
She won't be at her best. She won't be at her best. She's been on vacation. And then for the win, Jason Miller. Dani's also been gallivanting. Wow, Jason. That has a pornographic component to it, I think. Dani's also been gallivanting through Europe as well. Any truth to that she's not taking it serious? She's not on her A game?
Well, I mean, the athletes do take trips. A lot of the athletes like to take trips after the games for a variety of different reasons. I think that's a healthy thing to do. The body needs a chance to recover.
I could say the same with Haley and Mal.
And I think, yeah, but they're not competing in this competition. And I think that she's still training. She's still working out a majority of days over there. And when you have the level of fitness that these athletes have, you can take some time off. You can do a little bit of maintenance work, and then you can spend 4 to 6 weeks building up for this thing. Vellner's doing the same basically. He just didn't take a trip to Europe. He just went home and spent some time with his family and his job. It's not a concern to me.
I mean, clearly, we're not seeing the photos that Vellner posts do not look like gallivanting.
What do you mean he's gallivanting through the woods with his son and his dog?
There's no guy. What days are the competition? Is it a Friday, Saturday, Sunday event?
October 28th through 30th.
Okay. JR has an interesting post here. I think the Thursday event will beg to differ.
There's a rumor that there might be an event on Thursday. Rogue has announced nothing about it, so I'm not going to speculate any until they do.
All right. Well, do we know when the athletes get there?
Usually they, get there a couple of days beforehand. I know last year they had some ceremonious things with athletes getting hats and cowboy boots and whatever. So,
right.
I would guess Tuesday or Wednesday, majority of the athletes will arrive.
Right. I need a Stairmaster. I really want a Stairmaster. Have you guys ever been into any gym where there's a Stairmaster? Any CrossFit gym?
Not a CrossFit gym. They're the real deal, though.
I really want one.
Go 40 minutes on level 10.
Fraser has one. That's why I want it. I'm a sucker for that shit.
Okay, let's talk about why Brian has Ariel Loewen solo.
Yeah, let's talk about that. I got to go peek at the next page. I got to see what Ellie.
Brian, why do you hate Ariel Loewen?
Oh, good question. Hold on. I want to see where you have her. Okay. Hey, here's the thing, man. Well, go ahead, Brian. I think that some of us are kind of scarred by Ariel Loewen 2 years ago when she said that she's just going to the semifinals to get that plaque. And so it's always like that, always kind of, you hear that in the back of your mind that she might not be taken serious, even though since then she's proven herself.
She certainly has. And there's
if anything, that would make me think the opposite, because she wasn't even thinking she was good, and then she won. Now she's training because she thinks she can win. Place better.
There are definitely a few athletes on this list where, just based on the stats that I looked into, the research and whatever, that I can make the argument that they're out of place, and Ariel's one of those. I think that based on her entire resume over the last 2 years, a more appropriate position for her, not considering anything else, would be 9th or 10th instead of 14th, where I have her. But this is like a conversation that I think actually Chad Schroeder wrote. I quoted him in our article leading into the games, is that sometimes coming into a competition, you can see all the stats, all the stuff on the paper, and you just have to go with a gut instinct. And that's what I'm doing with Ariel. And then when we get to the men, there's basically one other person like that, where all the stats support a higher finishing place, and I just have a feeling they're going to do worse. And sometimes that's how you make a decision. And There's not a great the stats that I could pull up for Ariel would support the position that John has her in, not the one that I have her in.
He called her Ariel. Are you okay with that, John?
You should ask her if she's okay with it. I think it's her name.
Don't tell me what to do, John. 33 minutes and you have to pee. No, I'm squirmy wormy because last night before I went to bed, I ate like a pound of maybe 2 pounds of macadamia nuts.
Oh my God.
And I probably have to take a massive shit at some point. I mean, and it's just not ready. So now you know.
2 pounds?
I don't know. I'm exaggerating, but like this much, however much this much is, like 5 huge handfuls, just like pushing it in my. No, it's not
advisable.
No, it's stupid. But I got off the podcast last night, and I was so excited. I ate. Ellie Turner and Olivia Kerstetter and Emma Lawson, I think 3 of my favorites going into the 2023 season.
Favorites in what regard?
What's fascinating about all 3 of these girls, I think that every time we see these 3 ladies for the next 3 years, they will be significantly better. I think normally when you see athletes, they've hit glass ceilings or they're very close to the top. I think these 3, I think it's you never know where they're going to finish. They're so untested. Please speak.
As far as improving their place, I mean, Emma Lawson has a really tough way to go if she's going to improve a ton. Because nobody saw her coming in 5th. Didn't she come in 5th or 4th? 6th. Nobody saw her being that high on the leaderboard, and I think that's going to be really, really hard to top. And if she does top it next year in 2023, she will be in that tier of podium athletes with Laura, Gabby, Haley, Mal, and then Emma. And I think that'll be the tier. And not counting Tia. Like, she will be in that tier of will this person podium probably every single year she competes if she does repeat what she did in 2022.
Is Danielle Brandon in that tier?
No.
Brian, I really like the way John worded that. Do you like that grouping? Those horses run together in the field?
I think there might be some separation that's created over the next 2 years from a couple of them pulling ahead of the others. But we'll get to some of those in the top 10. But in case of Emma Lawson, I have her significantly higher than John, and I understand his ranking here because if you look at her games performance, it was kind of the inverse of the Laura Horvath and similar to Ricky Garard, where started off really well, did very well on some of the gymnastics and endurance tests, and tapered off towards the end when the strength was more of the deciding factor in workouts. We saw that the alpaca, the back nine, the sandbag, that those are some of her worst finishes. However, it felt her debut in the individual division feels a lot to me like Haley Adams' debut. And even though Haley did it in a different structure of a year, I think the question was after that, how would she do in another competition like Rogue? And then when we started to see a pattern of Rogue over time being this kind of strength dominant event, we saw, that might hurt Haley's performance relative to the other women, but it didn't really hurt her that much. She was still able to finish 5th and 8th in the last 2 years, the 2 years she competed at Rogue.
No, if anything, it cemented her as she's always going to be top 5 in whatever competition she's in. And I feel the same way with Emma. It's almost like when Medeiros won the first year in the CrossFit Games, I didn't think he was the fittest guy in the world. Once he won Rogue, I did. I was like, he's above everybody. And I would feel the same way with Emma. If she gets, top 8 at Rogue, then she will forever be top 10 material in my eyes. But I have to see it at a competition that is not going to be geared towards her strengths.
Right. And what I'm saying is that Rogue was not geared towards Haley's strengths last year. And she did have a second to last place finish on the lifting event. She had 2 other finishes outside the top 10. She still finished 5th last year at Rogue. And I think we're going to see something very similar from Emma Lawson, where her overall fitness and capacity, execution and composure, and these kind of intangible traits will still allow her to have enough good finishes where she'll be right in that 5, 7, 8 range at worst come the end of the weekend, even if she does have a couple finishes in the bottom, 5 or so.
And I don't put that out of the realm of possibility at all. But
yes, you do. You placed her 11th.
Well, I couldn't rank her.
Well said.
Betting on that. If that happens, I don't see that. It is a possibility that happens, but until it happens, I can't rank her that high.
JR Howell, I have a Stairmaster at home. It's an amazing workout. Fraser knows. Please send me a picture of it, JR. Dear Bill and Katie. Dear Bill. Loewen is a stat breaker every single time from the numbers guy, Jason T. Watkins. I call him Tyler.
Well, I don't know what he's suggesting there. But I mean, basically what I'm saying is that per her stats, she should be probably 9th or 10th on this list. What do you have her, John? Like 8th or 9th? And I'm choosing to ignore the stats in this regard, just basically on a feeling that some of these other women are going to get her this time around.
Ariel Loewen drinks Paper Street coffee. I cannot confirm or deny that, but if she is, stand back.
Oh, I did not factor that in. Maybe I should reconsider.
Emma Lawson is going to come into this with extra confidence. I mean, how much more confidence can she have?
Brian, real quick, what about her makes you think she won't be top 10?
Mostly
other than a feeling, what there has to be a reason, like why.
Who are you talking about?
No, it's mostly that I think
Ariel Loewen.
Oh,
where are my actual? Who do I have in 8th and 9th and 10th?
I'll show you. Hold on. Here we go.
These women: Barnhart, McQuaid, Speegle, Kerstetter, Turner, and Dahlstrom. I just think they're going to do better than they've done, or than they did at the games.
Where is Dahlstrom going to be better than her?
We'll see. I'm not sure. She has not. Like, Dahlstrom has not been able to beat Ariel Loewen yet. That's what I'm saying. Like, I understand why you have Loewen ahead of Dahlstrom. I don't have great stats to back up that ranking. It's just what I feel like might happen. But I feel that these other women, Barnhart, Speegle, for example, who Loewen beat at the games this year, will outperform her at Rogue. Obviously, we both think that Olivia Kerstetter is a bit of an unknown. I think she has a chance to beat her as well. I think Ellie Turner is improving. So maybe, probably the least confident of all those ahead of her is Dahlstrom, which I have one spot ahead.
$50 Will Brandstetter has a crush on Emma Lawson.
Yeah,
$50.
Hard crush. She's with Jack Farlow, man. You need to pick somebody else. She's taken.
Yeah. What about Haley Adams? Will? Okay. Can we talk about Ellie Turner and Olivia Kerstetter? What a slap in the face, gentlemen. Or Brian, to Ellie Turner, to put the kid who clowns around with Jacob Hepner and the Corky. Put the kid, Olivia Kerstetter, ahead of the fucking savage, the up-and-coming great out of Oceana, Ellie Turner.
Well, I think
I agree.
A lot of people seem to think that I have Kerstetter too low here. John has her, I think, one spot higher, right? He has her in 10th.
Yeah.
And I think, she's, in my opinion, she is the biggest unknown in the field, kind of like Emma Lawson was going into the games this year. Is, we're not really sure. She has on paper a lot of the skills that you would think could translate really well to a performance at Rogue. There are a couple things that will probably slow her down relative to the best women in the world that she hasn't competed against in a competition like this yet. So we'll see how she holds up. If there's a long distance ruck run, which they usually have, if there's a big set of strict handstand pushups in the middle of a workout, how she manages that. If it's paired with ring muscle ups, it's a lot of gymnastics in one set.
You know who will crush a ruck run is Ellie Turner. Will crush a ruck run. Crush.
And we're likely to see one. Go Ruck is a sponsor.
By ruck run?
Who?
Dani Speegle.
Oh, not that's why Ellie Turner, man. She's what's Ellie's weakness? What's her Achilles? She's got to have something. So what did she shit the bed on at the games? She got like some 30. Bye, John. Don't come back.
What happened to him?
I don't know.
He got nervous?
He probably hit a button. He didn't like Will's comment hurt his feelings. John, why are you winking at me?
I mean, the thing is, when you look at Ellie Turner's finishes at the CrossFit Games, there are a couple good performances. She obviously had a win this year in the hat trick event. And she's got an incredibly fast cycle rate on wall balls. The dumbbell snatch wasn't heavy enough to really slow down any of the top women there. And it just came down to cycle speed on wall balls. She was able to get that event win. I don't know that there's going to be a lot of competitions where your cycle rate or rebounding out of the bottom of a wall ball is going to be the deciding factor in a workout. She also did well on the alpaca event.
Dude, what I think that's a little. She snatched those dumbbells like it was her.
Most of the women did that. She was pulling ahead of them on the wall balls. If you watch that workout back, she posted a video maybe a month ago about she was doing 2-for-1 wall balls where you squat twice into a wall ball. That's like, I've tried it before. I have slow twitch muscle fibers. It's very hard for me. She makes it look almost effortless. I mean, it is so fast. Her and Guy both getting out of the bottom of the squat. And I know that they manhandled the dumbbell. I'm telling you, others also manhandled the dumbbell. Others could not squat as fast as them in the wall ball.
Okay.
But she got the event win. I mean, an event win is an event win. She had to do a clean run and good rate execution on that workout 3 rounds in order to earn the win. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying that that's a specific skill set that I don't know is going to win you an event at many competitions where wall ball speed will be a deciding factor. She did great on the alpaca event. If it had legless rope climbs in it, we don't know. But what it tells us is that this grunt work, pushing sleds, moving kettlebells, odd objects, she's very good at that. She had a lot of event finishes, 20th to 35th in that range at the games, and not as many up towards the top. So I think she's improving. Her overall performance at the games in 2022 was better than 2021. She moved up, I think, 8 spots over those 2 years, which is a nice achievement, of course. I think she's going to continue to improve next year at the games. More than likely, and I think she'll do okay at Rogue, but it's going to be, it's not that easy to crack the top 10 here.
Where she struggles is on her hands, which is not a bad place to struggle because it's only going to affect one event. She's not the best handstand walker. Any handstand walking event she tends to struggle with, and then handstand push-ups. I think that was her worst event, was the handstand push-up one at the games. But that's only going to be one event. And the people who are going to struggle on that as well is Olivia Kerstetter and Laura Horvath and Dani Speegle, all people who are kind of her similar body build. They all struggle at that too.
Has there ever been handstand walk at Rogue?
I don't think so.
I don't think so. They don't have. Yeah, it's always strict handstand push-ups. Yeah. And
if you look, I mean, I put an article out, I don't know, a week or 2 ago about predicting the Rogue programming. Through 3 seasons, it's very predictable, more predictable than almost any other competition. Will they deviate from that in year 4? Maybe. Will there be more events? Possibly. Will there be different implements like a handstand walking that we haven't seen in 3 years? Could certainly be. But based on the history that they've programmed there, it is pretty helpful when trying to assess these athletes' potential performance. Because like John said, they've had strict handstand push-ups 3 years in a row in big chunks the last 2 years in the middle of a chipper. They've had ring muscle ups regularly. They've had burpee pull-ups regularly. They have not had chest bar pull-ups. They have had rope climbs when they've been able to do a live competition. They're always using an echo bike in a power output, not an endurance style. They're always using the rower and the ski erg in more of those in a chipper format or in a rounds for time format. So there's very specific things. They love the 21-15-9. They like to run with the weight. They like to carry objects that are odd objects horizontally. So we've seen this pattern over 3 years with all of these things. I'm curious if they'll stick to those things or if they'll deviate from them in some way. I think we'll probably get a lot of similar and maybe 1 or 2 things new or different than they've had in the past.
John, do you see anything on his list that's just absolutely ridiculous that you're like, wow, Brian really fucked up here?
Other than Ariel Loewen, and we've already talked about. Already talked about her. Olivia, I agree, is the biggest unknown. It's impossible to know where she's going to place. It's really a shot in the dark. I'm rooting for her, so I have her higher than Brian does. Brian doesn't like her very much, so that's why he has her at 11. Other than that, Ariel Loewen is where we disagree the hardest on. But
he has fire amp venom coursing through his brains. Brian, cut him some slack. He's in a dark place.
Yeah, I mean Loewen and Lawson, those are the 2 biggest.
Lawson for me, and Loewen for him. Yeah.
And if I was objectively betting, I would bet on John's placement of Loewen and my placement of Lawson.
Do you see anything harebrained placements from John, Brian, when you look at this 11 through 20? Is there anything you just are like, wow, like I'm so disappointed in you? I thought more of you.
I think he's low on Lawson and Speegle, obviously. We talked about both of those already.
Okay. Moving into the top 10. interesting. I guess I wasn't paying attention. I didn't even know Cara Saunders was going.
Yeah, she's pretty under the radar at this point in the women's field. She had
even in competition, she's kind of under the radar now.
Dude, it's a haul for her to come out here. It is a haul.
Yeah, but I think she's in a good place with sponsors for other businesses. And obviously Rogue also provides a travel stipend for the athletes. So
they do?
Yeah. So she's probably not spending any money to get there. She's probably able to use some of those things to make that happen.
Wait, Rogue will give him like $1,000 or something to like, hey, here, put this towards your ticket or do what you want with this money. Is Guy have to give his stipend back?
I don't know when the stipend is delivered.
Guy, give your stipend back.
Yeah, Guy just hustled, bro. That's what he did there.
Brian, how much do they get? Does it depend on their rankings from the predictions ranking on the show?
The board, I think. It's dependent on our rankings. Yeah,
dude, that would be awesome.
Yeah, if we rank them in the bottom 5, they actually don't even give them the stipend at all.
Bruce, I don't know who
you're lucky you got invited.
I can't remember what the travel stipend is. Something in my mind wants to say 2,000, but don't. I can't guarantee that. I'm sure it's out. Someone probably knows.
God, they really do kill it. Okay, John has Olivia Kerstetter 10th, which is basically just one higher than where Brian. Then we see Dani Speegle comes in. Alexis Raptis, you guys both have her at 7th. Let's stop there and talk about Miss Raptis.
John, you take it away.
All right. Yeah, she was super consistent at the games. She did much better than I thought she was going to do at the games. I thought the games would really not go well for her, but like all the new kids, Emma Lawson, Alexis Raptis, they all did a lot better than I thought they were going to do. And Alexis has one strength that not very many people have, and she is the best in the CrossFit world right now since Carrie Pierce is no longer in the CrossFit world.
Arguably better than her, actually.
I don't know. What
she beat her at the West Coast Classic in that workout in 2021.
Yeah, that's fair.
What's the movement? Handstand
push-ups? Strict handstand push-ups. Really, any version of handstand push-ups, she is otherworldly better than everybody else.
Even the dudes.
I mean, if Carrie Pierce won Mary, Alexis Raptis beat Carrie Pierce, you could assume that she would beat her and Mary. But if there's handstand push-ups in the workout, Alexis Raptis is probably going to win the workout. And
if they're a critical component of it, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if it's like
it's buried. Sometimes in the last 2 years, they've been buried in the middle of a chipper. It is still a huge separator, especially for the women. Winning it, good chance, but yeah, upside down, she's insanely good.
Yeah.
Jay Hartle, I'm bored. I'm going to go watch Garage Gym Reviews news video. Jay, I'm also bored, and I'm going to go fuck your mom. Asshole. Anything inverted, J.R. Howell is saying. Well, what else is there? Handstand walks, handstand push-ups.
What is this guy?
Yeah, I mean, handstand walking, handstand push-ups, but handstand push-ups go a lot of different ways. Like Laura Horvath is fine unless it's strict deficit, and then she is gone. It's done. She's going to be last place. And Alexis Raptis is better than everybody at every version of handstand push-ups there is.
There were,
I had no
first of all,
how are pistols? How are pistols? Is she good at those too?
I would imagine so.
You guys like her? Hey, is she going to be a podium? Is she ever going to make the podium at the games, Alexis Raptis?
So the struggle for Alexis Raptis is that you have a handful of women that are younger than her that are already beating her, and then others that are upcoming that we don't know about, like Olivia Kerstetter. But the ones I'm talking about are Mal O'Brien, Haley Adams, Emma Lawson, possibly Emma Carey. And then you also have women like Ellie Turner, Laura Horvath, Gabby Migala, who are basically the same age as her. So it's that range from 16 to 25 right now on the women's side. You have 10 women in that range alone that are, threats in any competition, and especially at the games. So in order to get on the podium, the spots disappear very quickly.
And yeah, I know, and she's only 23, but the people beating her are younger. Emma Lawson is 17. right? Mal is 18. Alexis has to get better than them when they're only going to get better. That's why it matters that she's 23.
Well, this is something that we don't actually know yet. Has like Haley Adams got so good so fast relative to the women's field,
and then she plateaued.
And is that plateau going to be permanent? Mal O'Brien has gotten so good so fast. Obviously there's not a lot of room to go up from there, but I'm talking about relative to her own fitness. How much better can she still get? Or is she just going to, it might be a plateau of first place or second place, but
at 20 years old, she's just sustaining for 14 years.
Or will these women who are getting so good so young, like Kerstetter, Lawson, Carey, O'Brien, Adams, etc., continue to push that bar forward? And where's the ceiling for them? If that's the case, where they're continuing to get better, then that makes it really difficult for Alexis Raptis, who's already trying to chase.
How old is she? How old is Alexis Raptis?
She's 23.
Gabby's 23. I think Laura's 24, maybe 25 now. Danielle's 25. Like, if you look at the list in here in the top 10, you take out Annie, Barnhart.
Danielle's like a mother hen compared to these girls.
She's like a year older than Laura, 2 years older than Gabby. It's ridiculous.
And what's also hard for Alexis is that her weakest thing is just strength in general. All of her worst finishes were strength oriented. The sandbag ladder, the snap, or the back nine with all the strength implements, and the capital is somewhat heavy at the end. But that's all of her worst events. And the women that we have ahead of her, even if she were to get stronger, she's not going to beat those women. She's never going to beat Amanda Barnhart or Gabby Migala or Laura in strength events. She could beat other people of the field, but it makes it hard for her to jump them in placement.
John, didn't someone send you a free mic?
She doesn't necessarily have to beat those people, but she can't be taking 29th on the strength event or 20th out of 30 on the back nine event. Like, those finishes need to be closer to 10th, even if she's not threatening to be in the top 10.
John, did someone send you a mic, like a free mic back in the day when?
Yeah, I have a mic. It's somewhere.
You would sound so much. Well, no, not now. Not now. But
maybe take a break between the women and the men, and I'll find it and hook it up.
No. Okay. I just want to tell you you're a douche for not using it. Let's Danielle Brandon, number 5. How could she possibly do worse than she did at the games? How do you not have her in the top 3? This field is easier than the games, right? And both you made the same mistake. It's disgusting.
So where's Gabby? Or who are we talking about? Danielle?
What happens to someone? What's the distinction between rogue and the games, I guess, is the thing. Is it fewer events and heavier? Does that sum it up?
Well, Danielle Brandon is what will happen to her at Rogue is a great question. She has competed in Rogue the last 2 years, and she's placed 15th in 2020 and 11th last year. The 11th place last year was just as good as she did at the CrossFit Games, basically. So I think that, like she made an improvement last year at the Games, she'll also make an improvement this year at Rogue. The reason to answer your question, I feel that, first of all, Annie being inserted into the field, we can just kind of call that in this case, at least, a swap for Tia, where it's someone who Danielle has not proven to have the capacity to beat. Obviously, last year, Annie beat her at both the Games and Rogue Invitational, and was, very impressive in both those competitions. I'm sure we'll talk about her later on. Then you're looking at Cara Saunders and Gabby Migala, who basically are athletes that I think will excel at Rogue relative to the Games, where there will be a little bit more emphasis on the things that they're better at, strength, and a little bit less emphasis on the things that sometimes hold them back,
like skills,
and especially for Gabby, the gymnastics.
Is Danielle's back? Is Danielle Brandon injured?
I don't know. I haven't heard anything about that.
Annie Thorsdottir and Laura Horvat 1 and 2. Are both you okay flip-flopping those? Or John, are you pretty like certain about Laura Horvat? Are you pretty firm on that?
No, this is what the year before last was, but it was second and third because Tia was there. And yeah, no, I have no problem with this. Annie, I think it'll be a really tight race between Annie and Laura the whole entire way. Laura should win, depending on the handstand push-up workout. So when we see the handstand push-up workout, if it's something that Laura is going to be last place at, if it's strict deficits, then Annie's going to win. And it's almost guaranteed. I can almost guarantee that. And if it's not strict deficits, I think Laura's going to win. I almost guarantee that.
No, okay. First of all, someone had mentioned here there were no handstand push-ups last year at Rogue. There were handstand push-ups last year at Rogue. There were a set of 30 strict handstand push-ups.
There were 60 total.
Oh, there were 60 total, and there were also 30 ring muscle-ups in that workout.
Yeah.
There's a big component of the workout, actually. Laura took 19th out of 20th in that event.
Yeah. It's
Annie,
very specifically
Annie
strict deficit.
Going into the final event last year, Annie had not finished worse than 6th on any event at all. And Laura had finishes of 19th, 12th, and 11th. I mean, it's not even comparable. On the last event, Laura took 2nd, which obviously helped her case overall on the weekend. And Annie took 13th. It was her worst event of the weekend. But Annie's coming into that event knowing that she's guaranteed 2nd. And the only way she can win is if she beats Tia. I think she had to beat her by 2 or 3 spots in a workout that is about execution. So Annie had to take risks. It's very similar to Pat Vellner, event 15, 2021 CrossFit Games. He was not going to get any worse than 2nd. His only hope was to beat Medeiros. And when you look at the workout and you see how bad Vellner's finishing place is on there, you just have to keep in mind the context of the situation, which is that the only chance he had to win was beat Justin and have several other people also place in between him. And Justin was too good on the chest bar pull-ups, and he knew it was out of sight. So Pat just throttled back and accepted the 2nd place. And he went for it and risked it on an elimination style workout and took a hit for it. It looks like with a 13th, more than twice as bad as any other workout she had last year at Rogue, but it was contextual. If you don't understand the context of that workout, then you have a question about that. So based on what I see, I don't think that there's any chance for Laura to beat Annie at this competition. She's too well-rounded, has no holes in her games. And Laura, despite the handstand push-ups, has already shown that she's not as good as Annie on at least 2 other things last year as well.
Wow.
I'll make you a bet that Laura wins. We can make a bet right now.
You don't want to do that. He says she has no chance, John.
Well, then you should have no problem. Let's make a strict handstand push-up bet then. If he is that confident.
Meaning what? What's the strict handstand push-up bet? Meaning
Brian's
he knows that I can't do those very well, so he's just making me feel bad publicly.
Oh, that's not nice, John.
We can make a bet. What do you want to bet?
You can say something about his eye now. You have carte blanche to say something about his eye. Go ahead, Brian.
I have tremendous respect for you coming on the show with your eye looking like that, John.
Yes. Hey, that was a drop mic moment for a lot of reasons, because Brian is very close with the Horvat family. Very close.
I should have worn their shirt on the show today.
Very close. I mean, he was close before that fucking outburst towards Miss Laura. Laura, when are you coming on the show, girl? Just 5 minutes. That
was not directed at Laura. That was directed specifically at John. And
I understand. I understand.
I'm surprised you were that confident in this in that pick.
I'd like to see Laura. People would like to see you come on the show. They want to see the spark, the fireworks between us. There's a little tension there. Do we want to do the men now? Are you sure you want to do the men now? You don't want to make this for tonight's show?
I can't do it tonight.
Okay, fine.
I've got all day. I have no night.
Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. At the very bottom, the dude who carries Emma Lawson's bags.
God. Brutal.
I mean,
it's the truth though. I know it's brutal, but it's
John, it's funny when I say it, it hurts when you say it. You actually mean something. Jeez Louise.
Well, let's say this about Jack Farlow. Young kid, has some experience at the games, incredibly strong. I think he's cleaned 400 pounds.
Incredibly nice. How about that? Does he get points for that?
Phenomenally nice person. Very driven. Has obviously a very, very, very good training partner that's not in the same division as him, which is an advantage not everyone gets in their training. And no matter what happens to him here at Rogue, this is an incredible opportunity for him. Like we talked about, it's really difficult to get into this field, whether you have to make the top 20 at the games like you did last year, or you have to go through the qualification process, which there were a lot of men that you would consider to be fitter than him, or maybe have a better chance in this competition than him, that he beat in the qualifier for whatever reason. So he took the opportunity, was there, and did well enough to make it. And this is a chance for him to go, Unlike someone like James Sprague, who a lot of people would think is better than Farlow, has not had an opportunity to be in an elite level competition like this. And Jack's getting that opportunity at 20 years old. So there's nothing negative that comes out of this weekend for Jack. It's a great opportunity to, be in a prestigious event. Yeah, you might take last place. It's still a win in terms of his career trajectory.
Honestly,
wait. Okay, go ahead, John. Go ahead.
Depending on the events, like he is one of the strongest guys in this field with particular lifts. So, I mean, he could get lucky and get a top 3 or even a win. And that alone would put him not in last place if that were to happen. So I agree. It's nothing but positive for him. If he gets last place, that's kind of what was expected. If he doesn't, then he outdid himself. Hey, I'm going to go to the bathroom really quick. Okay.
Fine. Brian, do you think there's any truth to this? From Clive McLaughlin, it's an interesting point that maybe some of Annie's skills have eroded in terms of the speed, it transitions, just the small nuances that separate an individual athlete from a team athlete.
No, I think Annie is totally fine. She was able to come back from giving birth and being pregnant and all of the things that surrounded that for her and immediately get back into the conversation at the CrossFit Games. I don't think that having a year of, honestly, what I think was mostly fun training with her, with a lot of other competitive athletes, from what I know about that crew in Iceland, is that they were all improving this year and they were having a good time doing it. It was a really good environment for everyone. I don't think that Annie's fitness will have taken a backseat at all. I think, if anything, that it's maybe even a refreshing thing for her body to have not had to go through that individual season. And she'll be excited to get out there on the competition floor. She loves environments like this. She thrives in them. She'll build up, the fans will be cheering for her, obviously. And I think that I do think that Laura might be the fittest woman on earth outside of Tia Claire Toomey, if you were to test everything all at once. But in these competitions, when there's only 7 or 8 tests, even at the games when there's 14 or 15, if you have the weakness or the holes that Laura has, it can be difficult to overcome them. And he doesn't have those weaknesses. She's pretty steady across the board with the potential to have first and second place on certain workouts. That's a recipe for winning a competition.
I tell you what, Brian, as I was peeing, I thought of what we could do. If Annie wins, I will run 5 miles. And if Laura wins, you have to do 100 handstand push-ups for time. Kipping.
75.
Just come on, just do 100.
No bet. I don't want to do that to myself.
Oh my God. 10 miles. I'll run 10 miles.
Ooh. Oh my goodness. I'm shocked here. I am just shocked to see Nick Matthew, Saxon Panchik, Noah Olson, Janikowski all on the shitbird side.
Well, I think only one of us has Noah Olson on the shitbird side.
Yeah, you. But he has Nick Matthew, Cole Sager, and Janikowski.
I mean, I have Nick in 11th, so 3 spots higher than him.
Are Rich and Matt doing individual? Who is so good over there that Saxon can't make it?
These guys.
Wow. Holy shit. Wow.
This is so when I put the men's rankings out last night, and the article hopefully will be dropping today, similarly, to give you a profile of some of the athletes if you don't know a lot about them. Justin Kotler and Ricky Garard and Kiefer Lamani, who's his number 2 coach over there. No way Jorge Fernandez finishes that low. I don't know. I think he's got to be talking about.
He's talking about me. He's got to talk about me.
We'll talk about Jorge in a minute. Anyway, they were getting into the comments a little bit, and what Kiefer said is that this is just a tough field. This is a tough field. I mean, yes, we're talking about the bottom half of this competition, and you have guys with multiple top 10 finishes, some of them with multiple top 5 finishes in Sager, Saxon, Noah, and Janikowski, who are all, showing up here. Obviously, he has Noah a little bit higher, but that's what it is. There's so many good men in the individual field this year. The only one of the top 15 that's missing is Guy. We replaced him with Hapalainen. And it's like I talked about going into the games for the men's field. You could be getting fitter and still be doing worse in competitions in the men's division right now.
The top 14 of the top 15 from the games are at the Rogue Invitational this year.
Yeah, it's legitimately like we're going to watch the games. Like the parts that we like to watch, it's mini games for the men. It's going to be amazing.
Wow. Okay, and that goes back to Jack Farlow. What a stud he is to be with this crew. Is this Jack Farlow's coming out party?
It's the biggest state. I mean, he has competed. I think he took 6th in 2019 in the teenage division, 16, 17 men or boys. So yeah, in terms of individual competition, this is without a doubt the biggest stage he'll have competed.
So he's freaking out.
He was 9th at Atlas.
What'd you say? He should be. Is that what you said?
He was 9th at the Atlas Games, the semifinal. No, he should not be. He should be excited. It's a great opportunity.
There's no expectations for him. There's no expectations. It can only be good.
Nick Matthew proved himself to be extraordinarily strong, crazy grit at the CrossFit Games, and John Young has him at 14th, and you have him at 11th.
Mm-hmm.
Really? I mean, isn't Rogue supposed to be the strongman?
Well, you are choosing to have basically a myopic memory of Nick Matthew, and just thinking about one thing. He also had a second event win on the skills medley. So he showed at the games that he has somewhat of a diverse array of things that he can excel at, win 2 event wins. But
he has multiple specialties. Like for him, it's just fitness that holds him back, just as a whole.
Yeah, and his total, and if we're being super honest, his total performance at the games was not that great relative to what people perceive from him because of those 2, shining moments that he had.
Because they're so different events too. They're so different, and he won 2.
And they were featured events, right?
Yeah.
The skills medley had so many new implements. The press to handstand was something people were looking for. The double under crossovers that he was able to do better than anyone else caught people's eye, especially after women failed to do it. And obviously the sandbag event was the premier lifting event on Saturday night. So the timing of when you excel in these workouts matters in terms of the attention that you receive by doing great in them. Those 2 things stood out and kind of masked a little bit his other performances that weren't necessarily as stellar. He's very, he's just not fazed by a lot. Like whatever happens in a workout before or after that doesn't really affect the next workout for him. He's very much a matter of fact, get business done. He's been close to making the games for several years before this. He has a lot of competitive experiences kind of on the fringe of being a games level athlete. Now he's had a great performance at the games. I think that he'll come here. I think, mid pack is what I expect from him. 10 to 12, something in that range. He might have one standout moment, but more likely he won't. Because
you think he's going to the games next year, Brian?
Have to learn more about the format, based on stuff that Adrian has been saying.
He'll be one of the borderline guys.
Yeah, and the number of spots that are allocated to semifinals in North America will matter a lot for someone like that.
Was he a last chance qualifier guy?
No, he was somebody popped and then he got in guy.
Wow. Okay. Excuse me. I hope that's not contagious. Jorge Fernandez. Now I have to tell you, I'm biased as shit because I saw this guy in person a month ago at the ranch. This dude is gnarly.
Yeah. And
actually, I got to touch him. He's a rock. It's like hugging a fucking stack of 2x4s. He is something else.
And I'll go ahead and say, like, this stuff he's put up in like qualifiers and stuff, I might have him too low, but we've never seen him in a major competition like this. So
yeah, where did he come from? How come I'd never heard of him before? Next thing I know, he's at the ranch. Who is he?
Jorge Fernandez? Oh,
yeah.
He was on CrossFit Invictus's team this year. He's incredibly strong. I think he front squatted 445 pounds at the games this year. What, John? That's not strong.
For team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They had an event called Strong where I think each athlete had to do a different lift.
Were you just trying to read John's face? Dude, you can't read his face, Brian. He looks fucking like Elephant Man. Do not read his face anymore. Do you want me just to drop him so he only hears audio? Want me to drop his video? Sorry, go ahead, Brian. Do not try to read John's face.
Yeah, super, super strong. He's done well in lifting complexes. He snatched 290 pounds in the semifinals, 445 front squat at the games. And we know that Rogue favors strength athletes. So there's going to be some things he does well in. If all things were even here, I think that the most appropriate spot for him in a rankings like this is probably 15th. I'm betting on him a little bit here by putting him 12th. I think John is undervaluing him a little bit here at 18th. And so it looks like more disparity. I think somewhere around 15th would be an acceptable place to expect him to be, with the opportunity to do a little better than that.
I think that's fair. I 100% agree.
Who's better? Who is better, Chandler Smith or Cole Sager? And the follow-up question is, who's going to retire first?
Over the course of their career, it's not even close.
Cole Sager's had a way, way better career. For this competition,
I mean, I just mean like right now, if we pull them out of their bed at 8 a.m. and drag them out to the track, who's better? Wow. Look who showed up. Holy shit. What's up, Caleb? You guys can't see him. He's in the back.
Look, Cole Sager has 9 consecutive qualifications for the CrossFit Games, multiple top 10 finishes at the CrossFit Games. He's won semifinal style competitions. He's got some event wins at the game. Like, his resume is much better than Chandler Smith's. His career has been longer, better, more accomplished. Chandler Smith has a pretty good resume at Rogue. He's competed there all 3 times. I think that the only other person in this field to do that, I think there are 2 others, Cole Sager being one of them and Patrick Vellner being the other. And Chandler's placed 5th, 4th, and 8th in those competitions. That's pretty good. Chandler had something seemingly unfortunate happen to him during semifinals that really precluded him from giving his best effort there.
Was it heat stroke, some sort of heat stuff?
It was the asthma and allergy combination that was documented in the arena documentary that Buttery Bros worked with some other company and put out a couple months after that competition took place. But since then, he did go to compete at Can West. He won that competition. He did this online qualifier. He won that competition, and he'll be at Rogue, where he has nothing but top 10 finishes to his credit. Now, I have said this is a stronger men's field than he's used to competing at. I still think that his skill set lines up really well for a good performance here.
Is the Rogue Invitational at the same venue it was last year?
Yeah.
Same week? Yeah. Same time of year?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I do not know what was going on last year at the Rogue Invitational, but there were either someone had spiked the food there with X-Lax, or maybe the story. But there was a story coming out of there that the pollen in the air was insane.
Oh, I thought they had. What is it called? I thought they had taken the water from Lake Winona and given it to the athletes in the hotel.
Just to put some games authenticity on it. But there were people there who someone supposedly dropped out because their allergies.
Alex Vigneault.
Yeah, and I think that I think that I had text Shane Orr, and he had said, yeah, there's something going on with allergies there, and that shit could be
the wheat.
real.
It was the fields, like the wheat fields were blowing in, because Vellner talked about that, didn't he? Because he was sniffly after the first day.
So Chandler could be fucked over there.
Maybe. I mean, he competed there last year, and it didn't seem to be a problem. He also competed at Granite Games last year, or the previous year, outdoors, and didn't have the problem. Allergens are, and from my opinion and experience, are somewhat random. I lived in Austin for several years.
I agree.
The first year I was there, it was debilitating to the point that I had to get a steroid shot in my ass to be able to play for my collegiate soccer team. I literally could not function otherwise. The next year that I went there, I was fine.
Oh, Jay, welcome back. Nice to see you, you jerk off.
I don't think he ever went anywhere.
Good. I was at his mom's house. Okay. I'd like to switch over to the first page, even though we could talk about this shit forever. I'm surprised Janikowski's coming. I think they love Janikowski. I think Janikowski and the Hennegers might have a good relationship.
Well, really it's cool for you. The only time he's competed at Rogue was in the online year. He missed it the other 2 years. And Yona has this history throughout his career of having these injuries that, he'll have these big ups and downs because of that. So this is a good chance for him to finally compete live at the Rogue Invitation.
It's his first time. Is that what you said?
First time live. The only year he did it was 2020 when they did it online.
Okay. Caleb, could we go over to page 1? Sure. Oh my God, John. Justin Medeiros cannot be beat, dude. Do you understand that? It's a fucking dynasty, dude.
Well,
and I'm gonna tell you something else too. That Ellie Turner is gonna show up too. You guys have it all. You guys have it all.
Brian, you wanna make a bet on this one instead of the girls?
I'm really trying not to make bets on athletes, and you're putting me in a tough spot here, John.
He's a professional, John. He's not a weekend warrior like me and you. He's a professional. He works for like Barbell Bend and the CrossFit Games and shit. He can't be betting.
Over under on January 1st by the time that Sevan gets bar bend correct.
Bar bend.
I think he forever says it wrong.
Bar bend.
Or over.
Bar. Oh shit. We got private dating girls. Jay Hartle. Here's your thing. Run away, buddy. Private dating chat girls. This is for you.
So, do you want to talk about Roman and Justin now, or wait for a minute?
Let's do it now. I just
love that Will put BKG
instead of Bjorgvin.
You don't need to put his name. Everyone knows who it is.
This must have been hard for Brian because Brian does have some Roman Krennikov love. He's really stepped up his professional game. He took a shot at the Horvats this earlier in the show, and now he's got his lover Roman Krennikov in second.
See, I think he's being politically correct here.
I'm sticking to my word, which I said after Rogue last year. Until someone beats Justin Medeiros in a live competition, I will pick him to win every competition he shows up to.
And then I will do the same that I did last year. Granted, I was wrong and Medeiros won, but he wasn't convincing. I hate that he wins and it's not convincing because it leaves me feeling like he could be beat. And I feel like Roman is going to beat him in this competition. It's more like Ryan said, it's a feeling. Rogue suits Roman as long as a heavy snatch is not in there. And I think Roman's going to do it. I think he's going to beat him. And it's going to make 2023 really, really fun because then we'll have Roman and Justin head to head.
I think Clive's comment here, the first sentence is very fair. The second sentence, I can't give any merit to. Sevan, you're tripping. Look at Justin's event placing at the games. He's not dominant.
Let's do that. Okay. These are his event placements at the games.
But Ready? He wins by, Caleb, event placings at the games for Justin, please. He wins by default due to competitors having holes. I don't think that's fair.
Listen, I do think he needs credit for how he executes because he's probably the single greatest executor at being as good as you can be.
Caleb, you need to search Brian Friend bar bend and pull up the article that's called "Consistency, Not Dominance is Justin Medeiros' Secret to Success."
Look at this. I fight with Jay Hartle, and he throws the kryptonite at me, the Armenian flag. You asshole. Fine, I love you. Caleb, Brian said something I didn't hear. What did you want? What did you want? Oh, it looks like he's got it.
He's on it.
Okay.
There are two tables on this in this article. They're actually both interesting to look at. The first one is going to show relative to other. These are all of the people who've won back-to-back championships at the CrossFit Games and their event wins. So in Rich Froning's first 2 years, he won 6 total events. In Fraser's and Annie's, they won 5 each. The others each won 4 each. Tia and Katrin, and Medeiros has only won 1. So this is what Clive is talking about. He doesn't have the dominant gene of winning events relative to these others. But if you scroll down further to the next table, this is what I was curious about. It took me a long time to find this information. So this is basically in the first third, the second third, and then the final of his heat, not the specific event. The event finishes in the overall. And if you look at these things, he's almost never giving away positions relative to the field.
I don't understand this chart. Sorry. I understood the first chart. Help me.
So for example,
overall finish is probably the easiest way to go here.
No, what I'm talking about is what John just said, is his execution in almost every event at the CrossFit Games is such that he starts somewhere and he only gets better. There are small examples like event 2 there from 2021 where he went from 4th to 2nd to 6th and he gave away a little bit. But if you look at the other ones, 8th,
you're
6th,
saying
4th,
he improves as
7th,
the week
4th,
goes?
3rd. No, as each individual event goes. This is from the first third of an event. So if it was a 3-round workout, event number 3, for example, he was in 8th after round 1, 6th after round 2, 4th at the end. Event 5, 7th and 4th and 3rd. Event 6, 5th and 4th and 2nd. Event 7, 4th and 3rd and 2nd. Event 9, 10th and 7th and 6th. Almost every event for the last 2 years is like this, where he's getting
What's that
better.
last column? How come you're not reading the
Those
last
are his
column?
overall finishes, because
Okay.
it was difficult to compare this to someone who wasn't in the same heat as him. When you're
So
on
you
the
just
floor
read it
directly,
left or right.
yeah, when you're on the floor directly competing, and almost all of these events, he's in the final heat. There are a couple exceptions to
You're
that.
saying he's the ultimate pacer. He, if anything,
Yep.
he has the
Actually-
opposite problem that most CrossFitters have, which is come out too hot.
Scroll all the way up to the top, Caleb. The
Wow.
way I introed this article is by going back to the original CrossFit Games champion, which was James Fitzgerald, and this quote at the end of the first sentence that I heard him say when I took the OPEX course live in Scottsdale, Arizona with him, is that the pacer always wins. 15 years later, this is what Justin Medeiros is doing. He's outpacing everyone that's in his heat. He's starting here and he's moving up and rarely giving anything away to the field. This is such a difficult skill to have. It's such a discipline and patience that's required in the first third of these workouts to let those guys go and know that over time you're going to reel them in. And it's like 75% of the events over the last 2 years that he's done that.
And even the events that aren't like that, but are events where you have to not make a mistake. For instance, like the wall ball heavy dumbbell snatch event, hat trick. Like he doesn't make mistakes during those. He doesn't ever make mistakes within the workout.
I did write it.
Reps or yeah, go ahead.
And so what John's talking about here is that relative to his closest competitors, this is where he's winning against them. So it may not necessarily be on fitness alone in a vacuum, but it's the application of the fitness. I wrote an article about Roman and Ricky for Morning Chalk Up maybe a month or 6 weeks ago, and I talked about that Roman had 2 areas of deficiency over the course of the weekend. There were 2 events that he started out too fast and fell off the pace and ended up giving away a lot of points. The most egregious one that's easy to watch if you go and watch it back is Elevated Elizabeth. He was in first after the first heat, but with the exception of Vellner, who just absolutely smashed that workout, every other heat winner for men and women didn't make their move until the first round of 9, and then they just hit the accelerator and left everyone in the dust. So Roman misapproached that workout, and I think it cost him. And then he also had a few minor execution errors where he also gave away points, hitting one head of the dumbbell to the ground instead of 2 in the hat trick event, which was, such a small margin for error. It had nothing to do with his ability to snatch that weight. It was just an execution error in the moment when things had to be fast and perfect. Justin doesn't have those mistakes. That's why I'm picking him to win.
And where Justin succeeds in that, somebody like Pat Vellner has always struggled with that.
Vellner same thing from the previous
always
year.
Makes some kind of execution error.
Everyone wants to point to the swim kayak workout. That's not where Vellner lost. We've talked about this before. Event 6, maybe he had to take a crap, I don't know, whatever. But he came to that barbell ahead of Justin, missed it. Justin hit it and got in ahead of both him and Fikowski. The moment I saw that in the arena, and Dave Castro said the same thing in a post-game interview when he was talking about the games that year, that's the time that we thought, okay, Justin's the guy to beat here. These little things. Fast forward 2 events to the handstand walking obstacle course event. Justin made no mistakes. He walked to the first obstacle, which was like 25 feet. These guys are doing it in their sleep. He kicked down. He got back up. He took more breaks than everyone, but didn't miss. Vellner missed like 6 attempts at different obstacles. He's supposed to be amazing on his hands.
He's a gymnast. He should win events, top 3, easy on handstand walking. And it's almost like clockwork for him to make an execution error. It's upsetting because I think Vellner is one of the fittest guys in the world, and I think he should win the CrossFit Games, and he won't do it because of these execution errors, and Justin never makes them. But
all that being said, too, this year at the games, Adrian did threw everything, including the kitchen sink, at Justin to the pacers to try to fuck with their pacing, and he still overcame. Right? I mean, especially that last event where you had to do the row in a certain amount of time. Yeah.
And that's, the table that Caleb was showing from that article. There's another one that's for 2022, and it's the same story. He starts wherever he starts, and he just doesn't give spots away. He's either moving up or staying the same.
I will say, though, this does lead to a better finish and a more event-based competition. So over the course of 15 events, Justin will place higher than a competition with 7 events. So Like
well, it depends what those 7 events are. I mean, I don't
it
care
does,
who's in the
it does,
field.
but there's less of a chance to make mistakes the less events there are.
He has said in interviews that he wishes he were more dominant.
Sure, but I mean, this is the counter to Clive's point. Look at his Rogue finishes last year. These are event finishes at Rogue from last year. 2nd, 3rd, 2nd, 1st, 2nd, 5th, 3rd. Who's beating that?
I'm telling you, Roman is going to beat that this year.
Hey, there's a chance we're looking at the greatest CrossFitter who ever lived compete right now. If there was, I mean, you have
see
to
that he highlighted there. 75% of the time, he didn't give away even one single position against his field over 2 years at the CrossFit Games against his heat.
Yeah, he's dope.
Not even
That's
a single
incredible.
spot. If he gave one spot away, like on Jackie Pro, he was in first after the thrusters, second after the bar muscle ups when he already had the championship. I still counted that against him. 75% of the time, he gives nothing away as the workout progresses.
So he has crazy situational awareness of what's going on in the field.
Well, his consistency is just unreal. It's better than anybody we've ever seen if you don't count Fraser just beating everybody every time.
So do you want to stick with your guns, John? I will say this: if Roman does beat him, it makes the games more interesting.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay. Let me ask Brian this: do you think it is more likely that Roman beats Justin or that Laura beats Annie?
Roman beats Justin. So, despite all of the things that I've said about Justin,
Did you say Laura beats Justin?
Roman beats. I think it's more likely that Roman beats Justin than Laura beats Annie. Roman is incredible. This guy's fitness is scary good.
The way I see Roman winning is he's going to have like 3 or 4 first place finishes, and then he's going to have 3 fifth place finishes, where Justin will be third, fourth, third, second, and I see Roman coming out on top of that.
Dude, this will change Roman's life if he wins this. By the way, if he won $250,000.
I mean, the performance he had at the games was pretty significant. But yeah, of course, this would be a great accomplishment for him financially.
He can buy a house in Madison.
It'd be the biggest win of his career.
I don't want to say that Roman doesn't have a chance to beat Justin. His fitness is incredibly impressive. And if you look at what he did at the games, it was a very, very, very elite performance for a first year at the live CrossFit Games. He needs to be a little bit more dialed in. He can't afford to have these little slips, these little execution errors. If he's able to eradicate those, he does have a chance to beat Justin. But until someone actually does that when it matters, I cannot bet against this guy.
What about this? So sorry to beat a dead horse, but do you think Roman misses some things during the athlete briefing due to language barrier? Like in the last event, Roman didn't advance when doing his pull-ups.
No, okay. Start with the end. You did not have to advance doing the bar muscle ups in the last event. If you were tall enough where the shorter bars would have affected your kip, they allowed you to do all 30 bar muscle ups on the high bar. That's why Roman and others that were similar height were doing that. And no, I don't think that while he doesn't necessarily understand everything that's being said, he has an incredible support from the people who are hosting him in Madison, basically. And that woman is there to translate for him. And she's very in tune with the CrossFit ecosystem competition. She understands all that stuff. So I think he's able to get all the information just fine.
I don't know where our regular caller is, but Will Plummer, I will give you 15 seconds. Go ahead.
Who do we think wins the log press, Roman or Justin?
He's drinking from a Slurpee. Like Will's sucking the last few drops out of the bottom of Slurpee where he asked the question.
Honestly, I think they're both going to be really close to each other. But Roman's shoulder to overhead is very, very good. But Justin's shoulder to overhead is also very, very good. So I honestly, I'm going to just say push. I think they finish right with each other. I'm not going to pick one.
Thank you, Mr. Plummer. I appreciate you, brother.
Great question. Great awareness of how good both of those guys should be at that implement to ask a question like that.
Yeah.
Wow, look at that. Getting some love from Brian. I would like to just do a quick intermission to show you guys. These are some of the homes that these are $250,000 and less. Yeah, we'll go with high to low in Birmingham, Alabama. God, I can't believe what you can buy there. Look at this, Roman. 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 2,000 square feet. Look at this thing. Look at this thing right here. There's the new Krenikov's home if you win, buddy. That's nice.
Just had a baby. That's a good.
You could put a disc golf basket in the front yard, practice your putting.
Look at everyone weighing in on their own bias. I love it.
I still have to buy some discs, man. Did you say Academy had them?
Can we confirm that Brian's podcasting from his Nana's house? That picture and lamp.
I know that you're jealous of that picture. That's a custom picture. You can't find that anywhere. Lamp, yeah, whatever.
He'll take the hit on the lamp. He stands by his picture. Anyone else even have a shot at the top of the podium? Why aren't we talking about Ricky Garard, the most handsome man ever to taking the mantle from Rich Froning to ever participate?
The most handsome man.
So
yes, I like him rugged, Brian. I like him rugged. Look like they could wrestle an alligator.
Yeah, this should on paper be Ricky's worst event in the CrossFit space. Like he would do better in Wadapalooza or Dubai or the CrossFit Games than Rogue. It rewards power output and top end strength. And now that's not all it is, but it rewards athletes of that ilk. Somebody like Jason Hopper, somebody like Adler. That's why we have those guys ahead of Ricky. And even though Ricky is probably fitter, I'll even go ahead and say he is fitter. Ricky is fitter than those two guys. In a competition like Rogue, nothing suits him. There is no long endurance in Rogue. There's no bike for 10 miles. There's no run 3.5 miles. There's none of that. All the stuff he wins, that he's better than everybody, that's not at Rogue. So that's why we have him that low. Even though he is top 3 fit in the world, nothing he wins is going to be shown at Rogue.
Mr. Friend?
I think he will have one or two events that he's top 3 still. But I
agree.
But the events that was worst at the games, which are things that are likely to be exposed here. And even though, I think that there's still, I don't think he's going to have bottom 5 finishes on anything. I think he's going to have a couple finishes 10 to 13. And there's enough other guys in the field that probably won't. And, it's really difficult at the top of the men's field. We haven't even talked about Vellner yet. And going into the 2021 games, and even after the 2021 games, he might have been the fittest guy on earth. He just didn't execute well. And basically we're saying a great performance from him would give him third.
If Ricky got third, it would be scary for everybody else. If Ricky got third,
yes, I agree.
He would be right now in my head. I have Justin and Roman in a tier by themselves, and then I have 3 or 4 guys who are 3 through 6 who could podium.
It would be more shocking if Ricky took third than Chandler Smith took third.
No. That would not be more shocking. Chandler would be more shocking.
Wow.
But because you got it's still a fitness competition. It's just strength bias. It's not all strength. But But if Ricky were to get third, I would put him into that top tier with Roman and Justin.
Kate, if you're talking about Matt Fraser, there is not even Matt is a rugged compared to Ricky. Matt's parents were professional ice skaters. Ricky was fucking raised in a trailer fucking park, one of those homes where the truck drives you in. Ricky probably hasn't washed his hands in 20 years. Yeah, this motherfucker. Do you understand? Ricky Garard parks his fucking motorcycle in the house. If there was a fucking fight, he will fuck all those dudes up. I'm telling you, you could give them all bats. There is this guy, and
Fire Ants would think twice before biting him in the eye.
Oh yes, I mean, and on top of that, he's more ghetto than Justin Medeiros. This fucking guy is a savage. I'm telling you, and he could be a Calvin Klein underwear model. He's everything.
When it comes to Ricky in this competition, it's not just about him. You need to also consider the guys that we've placed ahead of him. And we've touched on Vellner. Vellner's career performance at Rogue is second. He lost to Fraser and he was beating him after day 1. He won the online competition and he lost to Medeiros last year.
If you look at the stats and you look at on paper, both of us are low on Vellner as far as if you look at Rogue and what he's done. And it is, I know it's not considered a risk to put Roman ahead of Vellner, but it kind of is if you just look at it, what's on paper and what they've done in their careers thus far.
So if we're talking about Ricky's chances to make the podium, we've already established how good Justin is and has been. We already know Roman's fitness level is insanely good and was better than Ricky at the full test of the CrossFit Games this year. We're talking about Vellner's track record at Rogue being incredibly good as anyone pretty much. Obviously, he also has multiple career podium finishes at the games. Yes, he had a disappointing finish this year. Yes, Ricky beat him at the games this year. But the things that will be tested at Rogue and the things that won't be tested at Rogue are likely weighing heavily in Vellner's favor compared to Ricky. So then we slide down from there, and we have Adler, Hopper, and Quant. And that's where I think that the majority of the conversation needs to be had about how good Ricky can really do.
I just want to throw this. Look, people, look at. Oh shit! I don't even know. I don't know how to make this bigger. How do I make this bigger? How come when I put plus, it gets smaller? Anyway, I rest my case.
Sevan, put your fingers on the computer screen and go like this.
Just go like that. I don't know how they don't have that yet. Okay. A lot of good dudes there. We had talked about who runs, which horses run together. Are Justin and Roman in a league of their own? Is this put up or shut up for Pat Vellner? Do we find out where Pat Vellner is in his career here if he's still running with the big boys? And is Jason?
Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
I would say yes for Vellner. I do think that there's the chance for Vellner to be in the equation in this competition. I would say it's maybe like a 33% chance that he's in contention for first or second with one or two events to go. And it's a little bit more likely that he's battling for the podium spot with one of these other guys. Probably most likely Adler, in my opinion.
I think if Vellner finishes 6th or lower, it's probably done.
I think if he finishes outside the top 4, it's a bad showing for him. He's 4th is the worst he can afford to do.
No, but I'm saying like where he's not in the equation for podium, we shouldn't talk about.
But I would say it's more likely that he could finish 2nd than 6th. I think he's going to do very well.
Yeah, I agree.
And Jason Hopper is coming to prove something. A 5th would be great for him if he finishes top 3. He's making a statement.
Yeah, and this competition suits Jason Hopper. As far as like all the stuff I said, it doesn't suit Ricky. It does suit Hopper, and that's why we have him ahead of Ricky. We know there's going to be a high power output event. Hopper will be top 2 in that event. Like that's a guaranteed top 2. Over at the hard work pays off. They got Rob Kearney, the strongman guy. I guarantee they played around with the log. And
you think Hopper Young is beyond the shit the bed days? Fuck up, get nervous.
I think Hopper is.
I
think he's a good soldier, and Matt will never let that happen to him.
Hopper's best events at the games this year all feature things that we're used to seeing at Rogue. So he was 2nd place on the Echo Press. Strict handstand push-ups and Echo Bike in short power domains is something that Rogue regularly programs. He was 4th on the sandbag ladder. Lifting odd objects for weight is something we're already expecting to see. He was also 4th on shuttle to overhead, the part B. Bella Complex last year, he was 6th place at Rogue, so he has the capacity to move a heavy barbell if that shows up. I don't think it's outside the realm of possibility at Rogue that we get a heavy barbell for reps and then a heavy log for load or something like that, and he could do well on both of those things. And finally, he took 5th place on the Capitol. So anything that's displacement horizontally of objects, which we've seen over and over and over again at Rogue, dragging sandbags, carrying sandbags in the bear head, carrying them on your shoulder, throwing sandbags over hay bales, all of these things, jerry can carries are things that Rogue has programmed in the past that he's great at. And he had to run 3.5 miles in that workout, which for a guy that size, same with Roman, it's impressive that they're still able to do that, and not give away too much. There will be almost definitely, because GoRuck is sponsoring them again, a weighted run. I'm sure he's been practicing that and he's going to be fine. So he's got a strict handstand push-ups and high volume ring muscle ups. The best thing that could happen to him is that it happens like it was last year, where those are in the same workout, because then he only takes 1 hit. He did have 3 14th place finishes at Rogue last year. One of them was in the mule, which is deadlifts and burpee pull-ups. So it was probably the most surprising of those 3. One of them was on the chipper that had ring muscle-ups and handstand push-ups. That 14th place finish for him in that workout is not that bad. What that tells me is that he actually probably executed that workout fairly well relative to his own capacity. And I think he's improved in those high volume gymnastics things in the last 12 months. So even if a workout like that comes up, I think he can do better than the 14th in that last year. And then he got eliminated early in the sprint style final with the snatches and the sandbag to load.
And that's his execution.
Yeah. And that's sort of a random, I'm not looking at that and saying, oh, that's a big problem for him. Same as Vellner, Vellner got 13th, Hopper got 14th in that. It wasn't that they couldn't do that workout, just in the moment they didn't, which is obviously something that's valuable, but it's not something that I'm holding against them coming into this one.
Kind of like what we talked about Alexis Raptis, where it's going to be hard for her to get ahead of the people already ahead of her. I think the opposite of Hopper. I think Hopper has so much untapped potential that he could get better and better and better. And like, as far as like where people plateau, like we talked about Haley's kind of been stuck where she's been for 3 or 4 years. I don't see that with Hopper. I think he's only going to get better as the years go on. Because there's just the stuff that he is bad at is all easily improved with practice. And the stuff that he's good at is very hard to be good at. And has it naturally just because of his size and his power output.
Anything else on here screaming out at you guys that you guys want to talk about? And any other people?
We're pretty different on quant. I probably have quant too low. It was just hard for me to put him ahead of a BKG or Ricky.
No, I mean, Quant's one of those guys, coming into the games this year, we didn't know what to expect. And then I think for me, he really solidified his spot as a competitor during the, like a legit competitor for top 10, maybe even top 5 during the Capital workout, where he so many people, including people who were finishing close to him come down the weekend, were struggling with that sandbag. Vellner and Hopper and Jukic,
Oh, he's not going to struggle carrying something. He's a grind horse type of guy. Any grinder workout, he's going to do very, very good at.
The negative thing for him is that he did not do very well at Rogue last year. He finished 13th with event finishes of 12th, 14th, 16th, 17th, and 18th. He did have a second place, but that was pretty much a standalone, and it was in the final. So his resume at Rogue from last season doesn't really give credence to the spot that I have him in, or honestly the spot that John has him in. But I think that I don't know about the medical condition and these other things that he's had chronically going on, but when he has shown up to competitions healthy and able to perform in the past 2 years, he's incredibly good and should not be overlooked.
Who's better, Sam Quant or Jeffrey Adler? If you just put them in the face-off, CrossFit Games, one-on-one, mano-a-mano, who's the better CrossFitter?
I would probably say Adler.
Is he Sam Quant 2.0?
No, they're different athletes.
It's a great question. I also would probably give the edge to Adler, but pretty narrowly.
Yeah, no, it's not by a lot, especially when Sam's on.
I'll come back. I'm going to have one more follow-up question on it. Sevan, who's going to be on the ground at Rogue? I know Brian's going to be there for barbend.
All right.
.com. And hopefully we can chat with him a little bit, but the two official people will be Taylor Self and JR Howell, and we will not be doing any actual reporting. We will just be making sure Bill and Katie have fresh biscuits and water and are happy. That's it. That's our goal.
Biscuits and gravy. Texas,
yeah, whatever they eat in Texas or Ohio, wherever they're from.
I feel like you would be remiss to not talk about BKG here.
Okay, let me ask one follow-up question though on the and JR and Taylor are going to kill it. By the way, it's going to be fun. We're going to party there. What you said that they're different athletes. Just give me one thing each of you where they're just really, really different. Sam Quant and Jeffrey Adler, just for my own personal interest, because I kind of think of them as the same guys, good at everything, but just strong as shit.
Max out lifts. Sam is not strong as far as max out lifts go.
So I'm confused by his barbell cycling ability and his strength.
Yeah, he is a really, really good barbell cycler. Back when he was 19 or 20, he won was it heavy DT or double DT, Brian? I think it was double DT. He won double DT when he was his first year at the games, beat Matt Fraser. He's very, very good at barbell cycling, but his top max out strength, he's middle of the pack, and Adler is top 3.
Top of the food chain. Brian, do you agree with that?
Yeah, I've spent some time looking at these two guys since the games, and there are quite a few notable differences. Like you look at even the starting workout of the games, Adler took 4th on the bike to work, Quant took 26th. I think that there's some athletes that obviously just don't have any experience riding the bike. It's really hard to watch that event back and understand where Sam Quant gave away so many spots to Adler. It could be the high volume gymnastics. That is also obviously a significant factor, but it might just be that he's not very good at road biking. I don't know. So that's kind of a weird one. If you fast forward to elevated Elizabeth, which seems to be a gymnastics workout, and most people's performance on that echoed the echo press, where if they did well on Elizabeth, they also did good at echo press, and the other way around. Quant beat Adler by 21 spots on that workout, 17th to 38. There's no way that the barbell cycling was slowing either of those guys down. So it just came down to the pressing on the parallettes, I think. And then you go to echo press and Adler's beating Quant. So when it comes to the gymnastic stuff, I'm not really sure between these guys who has the advantage. What John said about the lifting, yes. When it comes to 1 rep max, especially barbell lifting, Adler is elite, and Quant is a couple tiers behind.
Who went further in the sandbag carry, Quant or
Quant? So odd object displacement, that's where Quant will shine. He was better on alpaca. He was better on the capital. He was better with the sandbag.
Quant, if you're listening, remember, did you see what I did there, Quant? See that? See that, buddy?
No, specifically like max out clean, max out jerk, max out squat, max out deadlift, max out snatch. If it's just one lift with a barbell of any kind, that they are very different.
Heidi says it's a tragedy that that there isn't any beaver reporting from the ground at Rogue. I agree. We always take some beaver. We're very open here. So whatever. It doesn't all have to be cock and balls. Does not.
I would say
it's not a tragedy. The fucking Holocaust is a tragedy. Go ahead.
Opposite to Quant is amazing at odd object strength, and Adler is not. And he should be better. Adler is not good at odd object strength at all, considering how strong he is with barbells. And
he's a robot when he moves. I wonder if that has something to do with it. I wonder if that has well. I mean, he's just so perfect in his movement. Those double unders and thrusters we saw him do earlier, it was impeccable.
Yeah, I would say Medeiros is perfect in his movement. And what did he do with the sandbag? He moved beautifully.
We're approaching 2 hours. Let's talk about Björgvin Karl Gudmundsson, the man from Iceland. What do you want to say, Brian?
It's actually painful for me to rank BKG this low.
That low.
The last 2 years at Rogue, he's been 2nd place and 4th place. It's remarkably good. He's had an event win each year. He's won the chipper in back-to-back years at Rogue, multiple top 3 finishes, mostly top 10s, couple just outside the top 10, nothing outside the top 15. He's really good. He's been really good at the games. His consistency has been noted and documented. I've written and talked about it. This is the exact example of what we're talking about, which is how good this field is. BKG, from everything I know, came into the CrossFit Games this year healthy and fit and feeling good, and he had his worst finish since his rookie year, which is 2014. And he was probably fitter and healthier than he was last year. So this is not saying that BKG is getting worse. This is saying the field is moving forward.
Saying Adrian's programming fucked him.
Nope.
Oh.
The field is improving. He might do better than this, but it's this hard. And when we see these people in the comments that are saying, oh, the disrespect for this person, how could you do this to this person? You cannot. How many times do I have to say this? You can't put 5 guys in 3rd place. You got to pick one and move on. And yes, someone's going to be a fan of Quant. Someone's going to be a fan of Garard. Someone's going to be a fan of BKG. This is this realm that John's talking about. You have Justin and Roman right now. Everyone else there that's 3 through 8 on this list, those could be interchanged for sure.
I put Vellner as like a tier of his own right now, and then this competition is
but 3 of these guys beat him at the games, and we can't discount that. So he needs to, his career resume is definitely better than anyone else on that list. BKG is his second best for sure, but all those other guys are coming, and they're coming hard, and they're coming strong, and they're coming really, really fit. So it's going to be a battle. I think it's going to be a battle for every position at Rogue 1 through. I mean, look at the other list. We still have Cole. I already talked about this. Like Noah Olson, he could easily be in the top 10, but who are you going to bump out? Most people would say Chandler Smith.
Got just passed up badly. Because they've always been in that. They were the 5. They used to be the 5 through 8 category.
We never even went back once to look at the second page.
And they
That's
just
how
got
good these
jumped.
first page guys are.
And Lazar is in the same boat. Lazar as BKG. Like Lazar, I had him at 8th, and I'm like, man, that feels low. But then you look at who's ahead of him. I can't put him ahead of those guys. You know what I mean? He's the 8th fittest person in the world.
This comment sums up men in their totality. There's 2 women in the chat just having a discussion, Heidi and Renee, and some dude chimes in. There should be a bikini wrestling match. Like that's where guys just take it immediately. Disgusting. What's this world come to? Okay. Anything else we want to add to this? Great list, guys. This is awesome. What's our next show going to be about? When is Rogue? What's today? The 18th. It's in 12 days.
Yeah, I mean,
do you want to do one when they announce the events?
Yeah, I'm hopeful that there will be some event announcements and that we can talk about that.
Okay, so hopefully next Tuesday, the 25th, this same time, and then we're trying to get a bunch of athletes on that week, but then we'll build up to it. We'll probably go on. You should expect to hear from us Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday on Rogue, right? Starting Tuesday, we'll be off to the races. Stuff will be leaking out. We'll be doing last minute shows and whatnot, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
That's most probably.
Caleb, can we go run over to Bill Henniger's account and see if he's leaked anything over there just to make sure we're not leaving any stone unturned?
They did post something about that platform that we were talking about last time.
Oh, that it's been shipped, right?
Yeah.
I did see that. That was the roller coaster, right? That thing where they push it up and it clicks into each spot?
No, there was something in that same room next to it that was made out of wood, and it's an elevated platform.
And there's something underground there.
Yeah. Now, the thing that we have to keep in mind is that there are
It looks like a yoke.
competitions going on that are not at CrossFit. There's also the strongman competition, and I think they posted the strongman events. So we may be able to see if these things are being used for strongman. That doesn't necessarily mean they won't also be used for CrossFit. But in the case of this thing and that elevator, like we talked about previously, they're so big that it's hard to imagine them having multiples of these, which means that it's way more likely that these are implements which will be used for strongman than for CrossFit.
That is something from the underneath there that hanging from chains, right? That you would guess that shot at that angle, so we can't tell what the relationship is with those chains going to the top, but something's being pulled from the bottom there, right?
It looks that way.
Oh, and there's this bar Caleb's pointing at. That's weird. It's a weird bar, right? It's like instead of being, that's a weird bar. Something weird's going on.
It's connected through the floor. I think it looks like a deadlift platform.
Wow. Okay.
Or a farmer's carry.
And like I said, the strongman events are listed.
Roman to win, Vellner out of the top 3. Love the podcast, Sevan. Keep what you're doing, even if you did let Don fall off the dude. Let me tell you something. The comments on the Don Fall podcast, I received like 50 fucking text messages saying I hit it out of the park, and the comments on YouTube. Not that means anything. Only you matter, William. Just saying. And my mom says I didn't talk too much, which is a 1 in a million. So
they have events for strongman, which are called the Tower of Power, deadlift for reps. Could be on that platform thing we were just showing. Okay. They have another one that's called the Roga Coaster Pull, 54 foot, I think, incline pull.
Oh shit! Those guys are going to stand at the top and pull that thing up.
That's the that's the roller coaster one then.
Oh, I never even considered that.
They might be underneath it and pulling down as the thing moves up. We're not sure, but I think that those 2 implements are for strongman. That doesn't mean they're not also for CrossFit, but if they were for CrossFit, it would probably have to be in an individual endeavor, not, you could, if they had a bunch of these, you could see them doing a rounds for time, pull something up, go do this, come back, pull it up, do this again. But if there's only one, it's probably for strongman, half the size of the field.
Who the fuck thinks of this? Who thought of this thing that Bill? We got to get Bill and Katie on and find out who thought of this thing, this roller coaster. Look at those wheels.
They have something that's called the Cry Bell ladder. Maybe that's the
Sear. No, that's the one dumbbell that they post. The 3 like a 260-pound Sear bell.
Thank you, John.
You're welcome.
What do you think that dyslexia is showing up for me? What do you think that bar is for that Caleb was showing?
Show it again.
The deadlift one. They have fun. I mean, stone over hitching post, yoke carry, overhead log lift medley, Husaville sandbag carry, max distance.
I can't have that thing at my house. That thing, dear Bill and Katie, when you're done with the Rogue Invitational, can you send that roller coaster to my backyard? Bill did send me one time. Bill actually sent me the walls. I'm sure some of you have seen it who know me. The walls, the first clear plexiglass walls from the CrossFit Games that they did the pegboard on. And I actually have them up at my house. And I cannot believe he sent me those. That was crazy kind of him. That probably cost $1,000 to mail to my house.
I'm curious if they're going to have the CrossFitters do the same event as the strongman for event 5. Because it's the yoke carry, overhead log lift medley. And so we know we're doing the overhead log. So it'd be interesting if they're going to have all of us do a yoke carry and then overhead log lift and then something else. And it's like a 1-minute sprint event. You know what I mean?
I think that would be really cool if they did.
I think it would be too. Just a CrossFit version of the strongman event 5. Like lower weights, basically.
They don't need a 1,000-pound yoke?
No, they don't need a 1,000-pound yoke.
Dude. Oh my God, my spine.
I'm not just saying this because they're my shirts, but if you want a sweatshirt, these sweatshirts are so nice. This is at Life is RX, by the way. The sweatshirts are, all their shit's nice, but the sweatshirts are like.
What's your favorite color scheme on here?
They're all great. I like them. I like them all. I like they have one that's lipstick that's weird. Let me show you this actually. I like all of them.
I like
this
that
one.
Army
This one's so weird, this pink one, because it comes with a line in it and you think it's damaged and then you contact them and they're like, no, it's supposed to be like that. That's like the lipstick look. Where is that one? I really did not like that one. Other than that, they're all dope. I don't ever wear this one. Politically homeless. I never wear that. But everything
black and gold is probably the best one.
I don't know. When you get the green one, it's so nice. It's so gangster.
I like the army green. It's this one, but on the first page with the CEO. That's the one I would go for.
Yeah, people like that one too. Yeah, that one's doing great. I haven't seen any of these girls' hoodies yet.
Hotel room in Austin.
Say that again.
That one is going to deliver that to my hotel room in Austin.
Yeah, send me, and I will.
You'd need to deliver it like 18 days ago for it to arrive in the mail on time. Then.
Hey Heidi, Heidi, pick one out of here too. I want to send you one too. It's a travesty we don't have more female reporters. Okay, BKG. I think that was a little homage to you at the end there. You're making me think he is, though, going to finish top 5. You convinced me that you guys have it all wrong with him.
It could happen. It's gonna be exciting. There's gonna be a lot on the line.
I could see BKG being good at the strongman implement. He's from Iceland. They do that stuff all the time.
Racist. John Clark, buy them at Vindicate. Yeah, Vindicate has great shit too. But I always plug the shit out of them, so I wanted to plug Life is RX. But Vindicate has great stuff too. Excuse me. All right. Great show. Anything else we want to add?
Just back to where we were at the beginning is that you look great. Don't let these guys get you down.
Thank you.
You'll be
Dawn Fall episode was amazing. Spiegel always closing the show strong with a $20 donation.
I don't think that's donation.
It is. Don't fuck up. Don't fuck it up. That is donation. All right, guys. Thank you. I'll see you next Tuesday. It looks like we're going to see a lot of each other. I'm curious to see how John's eye develops as the week goes on. Make sure to follow John Young on Instagram if you want to get updates on his eye. If you want the events ruined for you, follow Brian. He'll tell you who the winners are going to be, and go check out all his new work at barbend.com. A ton of great stuff. Thanks for sharing that, by the way, with us today, Brian. That was a hit in the comments. People love that that data on just
the left to right does.
Yeah, that was really good.
Makes a really good point from what you were saying as far as explaining it.
Mr. Beaver, 100 burpees for being late.
Sorry.
Oh, you haven't slept in a few days.